They was not scared of Suge Knight. They was terrified of Suge Knight.
We've seen celebrities caught up in drama before, but this is shaking hip-hop to its core. Imagine this. FBI agents scrambling through files, red strings crisscrossing maps, and right in the middle, one legendary name shining like a warning sign. Snoop Dogg.
People were starting to say it's an East Coast, West Coast rivalry because it was people that's trying to make money. It was true people trying to make careers, it was people trying to get famous, and Tupac's a legend. Like I said, Tupac wasn't born, he was sent to us.
This ain't just some random case. This is a full-blown manhunt. Yeah, you heard it right. The rap icon himself is now at the heart of a massive federal investigation. And guess what? He's gone off the radar. Word on the street is he dipped out of the country, hopped on a private jet tied to some shady shell company, and maybe laying low in the Caribbean. But why would he vanish just like that? That's the million-dollar question. And the answer might be buried in some leaked court docs that just hit the industry like an earthquake. Diddy. Yup, him too. Already drowning in his own legal mess, now he's dropped a bomb. Sources say Diddy handed over explosive evidence that ties Snoop to the planning of the crime that took out one of the greatest ever, Tupac Shakur. Now, decades after Pac's tragic death, new pieces of the puzzle are finally clicking into place. And the FBI? They're not just asking questions, they're going all in. Insiders say if Snoop doesn't show up soon, they might slap him on an international wanted list.
I'm quite sure I am death row. Suge Knight is death row. So I'm quite sure before it's said and done, all eyes on me and Machiavelli out of pockets have definitely come back to me.
But the dog's been dead silent. Is it guilt? Or is he just scared of what the world might find out? Let's take it back for a second. Everybody remembers that brutal East Coast versus West Coast tension in the 90s. But what if the beef went way deeper than we ever thought? What if Snoop was playing puppet master behind the curtain, setting up moves that changed hip-hop forever? And just when it couldn't get crazier, boom! Suge Knight steps back into the spotlight from behind bars, and he's coming in hot. This man's name already drips with controversy, but now he's tossing out bombshells like it's nothing. In his latest prison interview, Suge didn't hold anything back. He came straight for Snoop, accusing him of playing a major role in Tupac's downfall.
Right now, Davis is fighting for bail ahead of his murder trial, which he has pleaded not guilty for.
And he didn't stop there. Suge dropped cryptic hints that Snoop might be linked to other dark, unsolved moments in the West Coast rap world. Stuff that's been kept in the shadows for way too long. And coming from Suge, who's known for saying, "I know where the bodies are buried," figuratively of course, that hits different. Suge gave a chilling warning. Snoop's time is running out. What does he know? And why is he choosing now to speak up? Is it revenge? Or is he trying to blow the lid off what really happened to Tupac? And then there's the disappearing act. Just before those court leaks dropped, a slick private jet took off from a Cali airstrip, real quiet, real suspicious. That jet, linked to a mystery shell company, and rumor has it Snoop was on it. Some say he's chilling in the Bahamas, others whisper about a hidden estate somewhere in Europe. But one thing's clear, he ghosted. Social media, dead silent. His team, saying nothing. Snoop went from untouchable to invisible. So what's really going on? Is he running from the dirt Diddy's case might dig up?
2 weeks ago, I'm outside my office. My assistant comes up and says, "Suge Knight wants to speak to you from jail." I said, "Who?" He said, "Suge Knight." "The Suge?" "Yes." "Gotta be kidding me." "No."
Or is there a much bigger scheme at play? Something that stretches deep into the roots of hip-hop's most powerful era? And just when you thought that was enough, boom again, we got missing millions. Yeah, you heard right. Death Row Records, the label that ruled the 90s, has been swimming in financial scandals for years. And now, more questions are popping up about where all that money went and who might have snatched it. Remember when Snoop took over Death Row in 2022? He called it a full circle moment. But Suge ain't buying the fairy tale. From his cell, He's demanding answers. What did you buy? Show me the paperwork! That's what Suge said, loud and clear. The tension between these two is off the charts, and with Snoop off the grid. Some are asking if the missing cash is tied to his sudden disappearance, too. So if all this is true, what does it mean for the Shakur investigation? Things are spiraling, and fast. Enter Keefe D. You've seen the headlines. His name's been everywhere. He's the man accused of orchestrating Tupac's tragic end, and his arrest shook the entire music world. But here's where it gets straight up wild. Suge Knight is now claiming Snoop Dogg tried to bail Keefe out of jail. Yeah, let that sink in. According to Suge, Snoop and some others have been moving behind the scenes, trying to quietly pull strings for Keefe's release. But why? Suge says it's because Keefe knows too much. And the more he talks, the more dangerous it gets for certain big names in the industry. So now the question is, was Snoop really trying to protect Keefe? Or protect himself? Could this secret connection explain why Snoop dipped off the grid so suddenly? Or are we just scratching the surface of a scandal that's way deeper than we thought? And don't forget the betrayal. Everyone remembers that legendary bond between Snoop and Tupac back in the death row days. It looked unbreakable. But Suge says it was all smoke and mirrors. He's throwing serious shade at Snoop, saying he wasn't loyal when it counted. From their clash over the East Coast versus West Coast beef to Snoop allegedly siding with folks who were against Tupac, those cracks in their friendship now look like full-blown betrayals. Suge even hinted that Snoop was jealous of Tupac's power and impact, and that jealousy could have played a major part in how it all went down. Was Snoop really the loyal homie Pac thought he was? Or was he playing his own game? One with dangerous stakes and a long-term plan. And now we're left with a storm of unanswered questions. Why would Snoop, a certified legend, just vanish without a word? What secrets are hiding in those Diddy case files? And how deep does Suge Knight's fiery talk really go? One thing's clear. The puzzle pieces are starting to snap into place. The betrayal, the silence, the power plays, it's all painting a picture nobody expected. But wait, it might get darker. What if Snoop's sudden disappearance ain't just about the Tupac drama? What if it's tied to something even wilder? We're talking millions of dollars that straight up vanished. A whole other layer beneath the chaos already shaking hip-hop. Behind this explosive saga hides a twisted money trail tied to none other than Death Row Records. And it could crush the legacy Snoop's been building for years. At the center of it all, missing millions, shady paper trails, and Suge Knight, who's once again turning up the heat. Suge's been loud and relentless, hammering one thing in interview after interview. Snoop's takeover of Death Row might be one big illusion. His question is simple, but brutal. What did you buy? Show me the paperwork. And guess what? No one's seen it. Back in 2022, fans were celebrating when Snoop proudly announced he had bought Death Row, the iconic label that launched his rise. It felt like a full-circle moment, pure hip-hop history. But now, Suge claims that whole announcement? A smokescreen. He's saying Snoop never legally locked down the label or its assets. And that's not even the worst part. Whispers are getting louder that millions of dollars meant for the label's revival have vanished without a trace. Insiders are talking, saying the cash might have been used to pay off old debts, settle legal problems, or even fund Snoop's escape before the feds closed in. Now the FBI is sniffing around Death Row's books, digging through that shady financial history. And if what they find backs up these claims, Snoop's glittering comeback could turn into a full-blown disaster. But it doesn't stop at missing money. Insiders are now saying Death Row's legendary archives, once considered a goldmine of unreleased tracks and confidential contracts, have become a total mess. Some files, straight up missing. And there's talk that key documents were deliberately destroyed to erase proof of backdoor deals and financial foul play. And here's the kicker. With Snoop as the owner, he had full access to those archives. So the big question is, what did he really find in there? And what did he do with it? Adding more mystery? Many of the label's old school insiders, the same people who helped build Death Row's empire in the 90s, are staying real quiet. These folks knew everything, but now they've gone silent. Why? Because maybe, just maybe, there's more to this Death Row comeback than meets the eye. Now, even former Death Row execs are under the microscope. The FBI is digging deep, investigating old players for possible money laundering and other shady financial moves. And with Suge Knight constantly name-dropping folks he claims were part of these dirty deals, the net is getting wider by the day. Could this be why so many key figures from Death Row's golden era have suddenly vanished from the spotlight? People who once stood front and center are now nowhere to be found. And then there's the dark connection to Keefe D, the man long suspected of setting up Tupac's murder. For years, Keefe moved like a ghost in the background of hip-hop, his name whispered but never confirmed. Now, after his arrest, everything's blowing wide open, and what's surfacing might drag more big names into the mess than anyone expected. And get this, rumors say Snoop had contact with Keefe D all the way back in the early 2000s. Reports say they had secret talks about unfinished business. But what kind of business are we talking about here? Was Snoop trying to clean things up or bury a dangerous secret before it could explode? At the same time, Snoop's ties to the East Coast rap scene are starting to raise eyebrows too. Some industry vets have pointed out how Snoop's relationships with Diddy and other Bad Boy Records figures have always been complicated. Sure, they've shown public respect in recent years, but behind the scenes, old tensions might still be simmering from the wild days of that East Coast versus West Coast war. Could these strained relationships hold clues to why Snoop suddenly disappeared? And now that Diddy's legal issues are taking over headlines, is it possible that their paths are crossing again in ways none of us ever saw coming? And here's where it gets really twisted: the timing. Diddy's court case is leaking jaw-dropping accusations, not just against him, but against other major players in the industry too. Some believe these Snoop leaks might be part of a bigger plan, a diversion, a power play. Is Snoop being used to pull attention away from even bigger targets? Or is he one of the key players in this underground chess match? Because right now, it's starting to look like Snoop's not just on the board. He might be one of the kings in the game. Keefe D's confessions are shaking the hip-hop world like an earthquake. Every detail he's dropping, who knew what and when, is pulling the spotlight closer and closer to Snoop Dogg. And now, people are asking, is this why Snoop vanished? Is he hiding because he's scared of what Keefe might expose next in court? Suge Knight already put it out there, claiming Snoop was tangled up in shady moves with Keefe. Suge even suggested that Snoop tried to bail Keefe out just to keep him quiet. If that's real, no wonder Snoop's gone completely silent. The pressure's rising fast. The walls are closing in, and now another layer's getting peeled back. Snoop's international business moves. Over the years, he's made big money global plays, everything from brands to entertainment projects. But behind the glitz? Reports say some of those deals involved offshore accounts and shell companies, and now those links are raising serious red flags. Could those international setups be the reason Snoop escaped the US so quickly? And even crazier, could they be helping him stay hidden right now? Some sources say Snoop has tight connections with powerful people overseas, folks who might be helping shield him from the FBI's radar. Whether that's true or not, one thing's for sure: Snoop's vanishing act didn't happen by accident. And Suge Knight, he's not done talking. From behind bars, he's still throwing fire, claiming Snoop played a direct role in Tupac's downfall. But it goes even deeper. Suge says this ain't just about betrayal. He says the truth from the 90s could shatter Snoop's entire legacy. Suge is teasing some explosive receipts, and if he actually drops them, it could tie Snoop to not just Tupac's case, but also those suspicious financial moves connected to Death Row Records. And just when you think it can't get any more intense, the timeline of Snoop's disappearance starts looking real suspicious. Insiders claim his team got tipped off about Keefe D's arrest before it went public, giving Snoop just enough time to make his getaway. That mysterious private jet that flew him out, Registered to a shell company with Caribbean ties? It's like Snoop vanished into thin air. Is he just dodging the chaos? Or is he running from a truth too dangerous to face? The impact of this scandal is shaking the entire industry. Snoop's always been that untouchable icon, rapper, mogul, cultural heavyweight. But now, his empire's showing cracks, and they're getting deeper by the day. From Suge Knight's non-stop accusations to the FBI tightening its grip, the image of the Dogfather, the legend we thought we knew, is starting to unravel. And the questions? They just keep stacking higher. Was Snoop's revival of Death Row Records really about paying homage to his roots? Or was it just a cover for something way darker? What part did he really play in the events that led to Tupac Shakur's tragic end? And the biggest question of all, will the truth ever come out? As the feds keep digging, the connections between Snoop, Keefe D, and the decades-old mystery behind Tupac's death are getting harder and harder to ignore. Each piece of the puzzle brings us closer to something massive, and maybe even career-ending. Meanwhile, Suge Knight's sitting back, waiting to strike, teasing that he's still holding on to evidence that could blow everything wide open. The tension is through the roof, so now we ask, will Snoop Dogg finally resurface and clear his name? Or is the truth about to catch up to him in the most shocking way possible? Is he a victim of a dirty setup? Or the mastermind behind one of hip-hop's darkest scandals? Let us know what you think in the comments. Smash that like button, subscribe for more wild updates, and don't forget to share this video with someone who needs to hear the truth. We've only scratched the surface. See you in the next one!